What's going on? Travis here, Unbreakable Badass Blueprint 2.0, coming at you. This is the third video in this series here, and we're going to wrap things up talking about the chaos portion of the C2 method. And just to quickly review what we've gone over so far, so we went over the overall structure of what makes up the C2 method here. All right, main part of it is going to be your structured strength here, which you see in the middle in the green. That's our controlled portion of the C2 method. The chaos portion, which is the chaos exposure training, which we're going to be digging into here in this video, you see there's 4 different parts here, all right? And the chaos exposure training doesn't make up the training as a whole, but it's strategically added in with your structured strength work to make things work badass, all right? So that is the basic outline of the C2 method. And in the last video, we went over the controlled portion of the C2 method, which is your structured strength. So make sure to check that video out if you want to know more information about how that's set up. For now, we're going to be going over the chaos exposure training. All right, so let's dig right into this. Now, this chaotic type of training that I've added into the C2 method, this is where we can get a little bit more crazy with our training. All right, we can get a little bit more randomized, so to speak. It's random, but it's not random. It's set up in a certain way that it's complementing your strength work, but then it's exposing you to different types of training stimuli, all right? So most importantly, different types of training setups. So what we're focusing on doing here is hammering in on different energy systems within the body. So strength power, you've got your conditioning, so your longer base cardiovascular type of training, and then your stuff right in the middle. All right, so let's go ahead and break down the 4 different types of chaos exposure training. All right, so as you can see, boom, they're blended throughout the structured strength work, and I'll go into how we program this out here in a second after I go through these different 4 setups. So the first one is your strength metcon setup. All right, so this is your traditional metabolic conditioning setup. All right, these are typically going to be shorter in nature because the intensity is geared to be super high. So with these, there's no idea of kind of pacing it. Obviously, you got to pace the workout based off of your fitness level, but the idea is to finish those workouts as fast as humanly possible. It's you against the clock. So you're trying to do as much work as you can in the shortest amount of time. And the way we set the strength metcons up is typically you'll see 2 movements put together, or you might see 3 movements put together, but really very rarely no more than 3. And it could be with lighter body weight type movements, or lighter dumbbell, kettlebell movements, or heavier strength-based movements with your main lift. So perfect example of a heavy strength metcon would be something like heavy deadlifts, like at maybe 315, and then you're doing like burpees or something like that, and you're going like 20, 15, 10 of each movement, trying to get that done as fast as possible. So that'd be an example strength metcon setup, but there's all sorts of different types that you can work with right there. All right, next setup is KK, which is Cardio King exposure sessions. And this is where we start to really work that cardiovascular system. All right, so instead of thinking about short, strength, sprint-based workouts, now we're blending in things like running, so like 400s, 800s, maybe even mile-long runs, or like long-distance rowing, or maybe even adding in some air-dying bike, or like a ton of burpees, a lot of jump rope, something like that. We're going to be working that cardiovascular system, so slower-based endurance training right here. However, the beauty with these chaos exposure trainings and what I've done within the C2 method here is, instead of just focusing in on cardio and conditioning here, you might get slapped upside the head with a heavy strength-based movement right in the middle. So let's say you go run an 800-meter run, then you come back in, you got to do 2 heavy deadlifts at a certain weight, and then you got to go run again. All right, so you're blending in that cardio conditioning, that long endurance type of training with some heavy strength training. Again, the options are endless, but that's the main setup of the Cardio King. Next, G, which stands for grinder setup, all right? And these sessions, these are designed to do a couple things. Really test your body and really test your mind. All right, so these types of training setups might be more chaotic in structure. The main focus of these is, like I said, to put you through a battery of different movements, or you're going to be taking on a higher volume of reps, maybe at a lower weight. And so the whole idea of these is just to chip away, chip away, chip away, and just grind and grind and grind, hence the name grinders. That's the type of setup there. So it might be a blend of a lot of different movements. So heavy strength-based movement first, then we go into some very lightweight barbell work or kettlebell work or dumbbell work, something like that. Blending it with some body weight training. You might go run some, 800 meter. It could be anything. But the beauty of it is it's meant to test your body and mind. Those are grinders. Last, we have your interval/pace workout setups, all right? So interval pacing workouts right here. And with these are kind of like your strength metcons, but you're going to have strategic rest placed in there to slow you down. And it's all for a purpose. It's all to build up that threshold. So you're going to be going 100 miles an hour, but then you're going to get strategic rest. So if we look back at our strength metcon setup where I talked about 315-pound deadlift mixed in with some burpees, let's say we're going to, instead of doing 3 rounds for time, we're going to do 5 rounds, and you're just going to do 1 round at a time, and then take 1 to 2 minute break in between. So you might do 10 deadlifts, and then 20 burpees as fast as you can, knowing you got that strategic rest coming up. And what that does is that's going to help you go a lot faster within that certain interval, but over time, as we progress and tweak different parts of the setup, that's key, you're going to get a lot better in the long run. So say we take that same workout, we take away that strategic rest in the middle, what you could have done before is going to be a lot faster because you're used to going at such a high intensity, and you won't need that rest once you build up there. So again, it's random, but it's not random, all right? So that's the chaos exposure training broken down session by session. Those are the different session setups. Now, looking at a weekly setup, this is what it's going to look like. So if you watched the last video, I just gave a brief example of what a week might look like. So let's say Monday we deadlift, all right? Tuesday we squat, Thursday we come in and we press, and then Friday we come in and we do some sort of Olympic lifting. Now when it comes to your exposure training sessions, we're going to strategically add these in to your strength workouts. So say on Monday we deadlift, we're going to be doing some sort of strength metcon setup. Then on Tuesday, say we're squatting, we're going to do some King cardio setup. And then on Thursday, we're going to throw in some grinder setup. And then on Friday, we might do an interval pace setup. All right, so again, it's random looking, but it's not random. There's always a method behind the madness here, especially with the C2 method. So that is breaking down the chaos exposure training. All right, and I'll tell you right now, this setup, it's badass. It will transform you into a badass. If that's what you're looking to do, is get stronger, more explosive, add more muscle, get shredded, become a better athlete, and just become a total badass, this is the setup. The C2 method, controlled chaos method of training. That's it. This is part 3 of the video. And if you're looking to get more information on this stuff and this program as a whole, there's a link below this video. Click it, check it out. It gives you more details about the C2 method and the Unbreakable Badass Blueprint 2.0. And if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, post them up below. I'll make sure you're getting taken care of. But hope you can use this to your advantage. This setup right here is killer, and it has proven to get results time and time again. And that's what it's about. Make sure to keep training 110% ham. Live and train aggressive. Travis, I'm out.